so let's get started making the mint chocolate mousse. The first thing that you're going to want to do is melt your chocolate for the mousse. So the easiest way to do that, is to use the microwave. You can just throw your chocolate in the bowl and then heat it up for 30 seconds at a time, stirring it after every 30 seconds, and then you're good to go. One method that I don't use quite as often as I should is using this kind of like a double boiler method. Basically all you do is you put water into a pot and then you let it simmer, which mine is right at a boil, so I need to turn it down. And then you take your bowl and you just set it on top. And that heats up the bottom of the bowl. So what we're going to do is we're going to add about 8 ounces of chocolate. Ooh, there's still some in there. 8 ounces of chocolate and 6 tablespoons of butter, y'all, because it's butter, y'all. And you just throw that in there. And a lot of recipes that I saw said to add in coffee. So just for the heck of it, we're going to do like a little splash of coffee, which really is, I don't think, good for the chocolate, but oh well. And then you just stir. And it's actually already starting to melt, which is a pretty good thing. And you just stir it and stir it and stir it. Don't stop stirring, otherwise your chocolate is going to burn, it'll crystallize, so you just keep stirring. Now, I did use just bagged chocolate, but that was probably not a smart thing to do, because if you really want to impress somebody, use good chocolate. Use a fancy chocolate that you can put in here. So maybe bagged chocolate and baking chocolate isn't the best, so you know, splurge for a little higher grade chocolate and use that instead. But you're going to melt it the same way that I'm going right here. And you just let it go. And it's going to look nasty at first because the butter's melting and apparently this coffee and crap, I don't know. But anyways, that's how you do it. You don't want to let your water boil, so pay attention to that. But just keep stirring and stirring and stirring and stirring. I think maybe I should fast forward so you guys don't have to sit through this. Alright, and this is just about done. So I'm going to take it off the heat. Woo! So I'm going to take it off the heat and just set it to the side and let it cool down a little bit there. And we're going to grab another bowl and we're going to separate our eggs into egg yolks and egg whites. To separate an egg, it's actually really easy. A lot of people get intimidated when they have to separate an egg, like, oh, I don't know how to do that. So now you're going to learn. You take the egg and you just crack it along one side so it's in half. And then when you take it, you take one half of the shell and you just dump the yolk into the other side. And then see that? You see when that white part came out? That's the egg separating. And then you take the yolk and you just throw that into another bowl. It's that simple. And then in this bowl, well, you can't see it because it's a white bowl and it's egg whites. But you just have the egg whites there, and then you have the egg yolks over here. Yolks? Yolks. From the south, y'all. So anyway, that's how you separate an egg. And now we're going to take the egg yolks and mix them into our chocolate. As soon as I wash my hands. Okay, so now our chocolate has cooled down. You need to make sure that you do let the chocolate cool all the way before you add the eggs. Because if you add the eggs to a hot chocolate mixture, it'll cook the eggs and then you'll have to start all over, and we've come way too far to do that. So I just have my whisk here and I'm going to put in the egg yolks. Shoot! Well, now the egg yolks are in. And you're just going to beat them together. Or just whisk them together. If you want to use your hand mixer, you can use your hand mixer for it. So anyway, you just beat it. Beat it! Don't you wanna beat it, beat it? Alright, so there's our eggs mixed with our chocolate. And the next thing that we're going to do, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so now we're going to go grab our heavy cream and beat that up. Oh, here goes 1 cup of heavy whipping cream. And you're literally just going to beat it. Don't you want to beat it, beat it? Anyways, okay. But I also have a 1/4 cup of confectioner's sugar that randomly and in small amounts I'll add to the mixture. And then you're going to want to turn it up and just go to town. Now you don't want to overbeat it. You want to get it to about, well, I don't think you'll be able to see, but about that consistency. That's called soft peaks. Actually, that's a little past soft peaks because it's a stiff peak. But whatever. That's where we want it to be at. Okay? So now we have that done, and we're going to beat up our egg. And it's time to beat up the egg whites. And I made a huge mistake, and instead of adding the sugar to the egg whites, I added it to the cream. So I just got a little more sugar, and we're just going to go with it. Because it doesn't matter. It kind of does. But this is cooking. You have fun with it, and you just go. Alright. So, we have the egg whites here in this bowl. And we're going to do the same thing that we just did with the heavy whipping cream. And we're going to start on low and then just work our way up to a higher speed. And we're going to whip it for just a little while. Whip it real good. We're going to whip it for just a little while until it about triples in size. And you'll get to see it, and you just want that same consistency, that kind of soft peak. So here we go. It's time to whip it. Whip it real good. Alright, so here's the consistency. Alright, we're going to try this again. See that? See how they're staying up? That's what you want. You want peaks that are going to pop up and then go right back down. Okay, so now that we have our egg whites and our cream and our chocolate all mixed together in separate bowls, we're going to start combining them. And the first thing that we combined are the egg whites here and our chocolate. So what we're going to do is we're going to just dump in about half of the mixture. And just stir it regular. And then that'll lighten up the chocolate quite a bit to something a little more to what the egg whites are. So you just mix that in, no problem there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add the rest of this mixture, pour that in. And we're going to do a technique called folding, which I overbeat my egg whites, so it might be a little hard to see, but you literally just fold it over, okay? And an easy way to do that is just to go around, like, I don't know if you can see that, but I'm literally just folding through the center. So you take your spatula through the center and then flip everything over. And then that folds it all together and makes it light and airy and yummy. And then we're going to do the same thing with our whipped cream that we did earlier. Alright, now before we fold in the whipped cream, instead of using fresh mint leaves, because mine aren't quite big enough yet, because I used it all last week, I just have some peppermint flavoring, and you should really measure this out, but I'm just going to put a little bit in there. Smells so good. To give it a little bit of a minty flavor. Okay, and then we're going to do the same technique, and we're going to fold in our whipped cream. So I'm going to pour some of that in there. And I like to do about half and half again. That way I just don't get overwhelmed when folding it in. And you just fold and fold. This dessert is all about beating and folding, because that is basically all you're doing forever. Alright, so you're going to come to a point where your mixture looks a little bit like this, and that's where you want to stop. You folded in all the ingredients, and now we can set this aside and whip up some awesome whipped cream, and then we'll serve it up and we'll be good to go. Alright, so now to make the vodka whipped cream, what we're going to do is take our bowl that we've had sitting in the freezer so it's nice and cold, and we are going to add to that about 1 cup of heavy whipping cream. That's about a cup. and we're going to do about half of a cup of sugar. And you can use regular sugar, or you can use this confectioner sugar, whichever you prefer is fine. And then to that, my favorite part, that's vanilla vodka. You don't want to add too much of this because then your whipped cream won't actually whip, it'll just stay soupy. So you're going to add about half a shot or thereabouts. It's just enough to give it flavor. You're not trying to get drunk off of it, so just add enough that you can taste it. Alright, so then we're going to do the same thing we did with the mousse, and we're just going to beat it until it fluffs up. And now you've got yourself a recipe for some mint chocolate mousse, some vanilla vodka whipped cream, and you can serve it all in this wonderful mint chocolate bowl that we did. I think you're ready to make a dessert that's going to be a smash hit at your next dinner party. So while you get ready for that, I'm going to take my whipped cream and my mousse, and I'm going to have myself a nice little dessert. And I'll see you next week for some more bites and moves.